Welcome to the Goose1 channel. So, recently, I came to a conclusion of sorts. I love Death Stranding. I think it's one of the best games of the past decade, and with the runaway success of Death Stranding 2, I think people will soon realize that this franchise is Kojima's true opus. Despite my frustrations regarding that practice of giving credit for a whole game to one guy, but I'm just saying. I got so into that caveat, I accidentally hit my mic. That's how passionate I'm about this. And that love for the game has inspired a runaway train of theories to roam free in my mind since I finished that first game. It's non-stop. I really can't stop thinking about it. So now with Death Stranding 2 released, I figured it'd be a nice time to revisit that Kojima Now classic. So, PT is one of the most compelling stories in gaming of all time. And when I say that, I'm barely talking about the game itself. I'm more so referring to everything surrounding it, all of the lore and gossip. You're telling me Kojima was going to direct a Silent Hill game, but didn't get to because Konami hated his ass so much? You're telling me they delayed pretty much the revival of the Silent Hill franchise by over half a decade just because they hate Kojima that much? They canceled a game by Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, and potentially Junji fucking Ito? Are you kidding me? Isn't that crazy? And mind you, this was 2014. Silent Hill is in a better place these days, I guess, with the well-received SH2 remake and Silent Hill F written by the Higurashi guy, which everyone seems to love except the people who don't like women. Silent Hill was in a far worse place back in 2014. The series was pretty much dead in the water. The franchise needed a Silent Hills. So to cancel that over this guy? It's wild. But sorry, I'm getting off track. Let's talk about PT as a game. Shadow dropped on the PlayStation Store all the way back in 2014. PT went triple platinum viral all over the internet. It was scary, it was terrifying, but most importantly, it was mysterious. While wandering through this endlessly repeating hallway, no outright goal seems to make itself clear. No ending in sight unless we pay attention to what's really happening all around us. The internet, as it seems to do when mysteries are involved, banded together to solve the incredibly convoluted mystery at play here, to find out what was hiding inside of this video game. And what they found was insane. They found Norman Reedus. What I mean with that is that they found an ending cutscene where it's revealed that the character we've been playing as has been played by Norman Reedus this whole time. And well, that stuck with me the whole time, next to the whole goddamn game, of course, because as many will know, Norman Reedus also plays Sam Porter Bridges in Death Stranding. In Death Stranding, the beach is kind of an analog for purgatory, a shared afterlife, yet personalized for each person that enters it, though afterlife is something of a misnomer as it acts as more of a stopgap between the true realm of the dead and the realm of the living, like purgatory. In the game, it's described as a manifestation of all of humanity's consciousness, with a Death Stranding being something like the third impact in Neon Genesis Evangelion, an attempt by the universe to connect everyone to the shared consciousness by force. But its role as purgatory is thematically most potent and important right here. It serves as a reminder of one's life, but also of one's worst fears, one's worst moments in a sense. Hence, Clifford Unger's and pretty much every soldier ever, if I understand that beach correctly, Clifford Unger's beach. We go to 3 iterations of this beach, and every single one is a recreation of a terrible war, unending tragedy all around us. And that sounds like a soldier's worst nightmare, doesn't it? Unending war, a reenactment of the most traumatic possible moments, perhaps a never-ending reminder of one's worst decisions. Deeper than just Norman Reedus showing up in PT, gamers also slowly deciphered what exactly was happening in the game's plot. That scary-ass lady who stalks you through these hallways is called Lisa, and her story is tragic. Through hints found within the game, like phone calls playing on repeat, we can find out what happened to her, or, well, thousands of gamers before us did over a decade ago. And before you ask, yes, it's really been over a decade. Go on. Feel old about it. Lisa was married to a man whose name we don't exactly know. After she got pregnant with his child, the husband started getting increasingly paranoid that the baby wasn't his, that it was her boss's or someone else's, that she'd stepped out on him and gotten pregnant behind his back. This paranoia turned to full-blown madness, enough so that it led the man to kill Lisa, still pregnant with their baby. Lisa is the ghost haunting us. The baby in the sink is, well, her baby, and the player character is presumably her husband, stricken with regret and grief, forced to face his actions, his decisions, the consequences of those, here in Silent Hill. Clifford Unger was a soldier, a married man with a wife and kids soon to be born. Yet as Cliff returned from his duty back to his family, his wife and him got into an unspecified accident that left his wife brain dead and his unborn son clinging on to life. With no other options, Cliff brought his wife to Bridges, allowing them to perform an experimental procedure on his wife that might keep his son alive. This turned out to be a mistake. His son was placed into a tube of amniotic fluid while his wife was kept on life support, keeping her body fresh and alive, yet her brain fully dead without even a chance at recovery. Shit got worse when Cliff learned that his son, who he'd begun referring to as BB, would soon be taken to a different facility for more testing. Spurred on by his former friend Die Hardman, who now worked for Bridges, Cliff tries to escape with his child, being forced to murder his already brain-dead wife before taking the plunge. Unfortunately for Cliff, he fails. Bridges security catches him, and Die Hardman is forced to kill him at the hands of Bridges Strand. Now dead, he turns into the combat veteran, the BT that haunts our player character Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, throughout the rest of the game. Okay, let's bring it together. Cliff killed his pregnant wife called Lisa, maybe not on purpose, but he feels the guilt nonetheless. He feels the responsibility. He killed her twice in a sense. Once in the accident by surviving, and with a revolver the second time. And in his beach, the one shared by all those combat veterans, he is haunted by that guilt and haunted by a desire to find his BB, his child, the last connection to his dead wife, to the future. The PT husband, who some believe to be named something like Jareth or Jared because of some fucking gameplay shit, killed his pregnant wife called Lisa. He gouged one of her eyes out, let her baby die, and is now in Silent Hill facing his regrets, his terrible decisions and the consequences of them. I think there are parallels here to be made, very obvious parallels with some very obvious problems as well. So what am I saying? That PT, aside from being Silent Hill, is also Cliff Unger's beach, the place where he is faced with his deepest regret and his worst decisions ad nauseum, forced to confront them? In a sense, yes, but a lot of it, of course, doesn't exactly line up. If we assume that our PTMC, which stands for Playable Teaser Main Character and not Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center, is the husband, he looks completely different, right? He does not look like Mads Mikkelsen at all. He looks like Sam Porter Bridges. The method of murder is also completely different. The PT husband gauged his wife's eye out before stabbing her. Cliff shot his wife in the head through a pillow, a quick death to put her out of her misery. And the motivations behind both kills are also very different. But I think many of these disparities fall away if we don't take this theory that literally. PT can't literally take place in the same universe as Death Stranding. That doesn't make sense. There are too many differences, too many disparities. But I do believe PT laid much of the groundwork for specifically Death Stranding, and that Kojima specifically took a lot of it with him when he crafted Clifford Unger's story. It doesn't matter that Cliff doesn't look like Cliff or seem to be named Cliff at all, but I guess my theory here is that he looks like Sam Porter Bridges, and Clifford Unger is his dad, so he looks like his son in this universe, something like that. It doesn't matter that the method of the kill is different or that the motivations are different, because this isn't literally Cliff's beach. It's only an equivalent, a version that could have existed if only PT had been finished. Now, is that a little bit of a cop-out? Yes, I'm sorry, but I also think it's kind of cool, right? I don't know about you, but there's something cool about realizing that this major part of PT was brought forth into Death Stranding, if in a changed fashion, that these ideas weren't entirely abandoned, that they didn't entirely die with the Silent Hills project, but that Kojima kept them in mind while working on what is ostensibly, in a lot of ways, the spiritual successor to PT, in a very real, if limited sense. Isn't that cool on its own? I mean, it is, right? If you disagree, maybe tell me why in the comments so I can understand, or just call me a clickbait, or that's fine by me. I think I stuck to the idea of this video pretty well, but I can understand that this could feel like kind of a weak conclusion to what I say in the title. I still really like the ideas discussed here though, and I think there are very strong parallels to draw between these two games. It's just, well, these games take place in different universes, and I can't talk past that base fact. I can't talk that right. I can't talk that straight. Either way, I do hope you liked this video. If you didn't, sorry. If you did, consider liking or checking out the Patreon. And with that said, this video is done. See you in the next one.